Is the U.S. a safe place for mothers to give birth? The research shows it's not.
The U.S. has the highest rate of maternal mortality than any other developed nation. Hundreds of mothers die each year from pregnancy-related issues, and tens of thousands more have dangerous complications. And according to the CDC, black women are up to 4 times more likely to die from those complications. Sheba Turk is taking a look at why black mothers are in danger in the delivery room.
On Mother's Day that year, I found out that I was pregnant. On my grandmother's birthday, it was September the 6th, I had found out that it was a girl. I started to feel like really bad cramps and pains and having headaches a lot. He checked my blood pressure and it was high. He told me to lie back until it go down. I got to the hospital and they set me on a stretcher, and it just kept coming down. It felt like gallons and gallons. I was like, oh my God, I'm bleeding, hurry up. I was like, is she okay? It was just like awkward silence. You can hear a pin drop. They had to save my life and give me a C-section. They was like, honey, you've been sick.
Simone's story is heartbreaking and tragic, and unfortunately, she is not the only mother to have a traumatic experience just trying to give birth. The USA Today calls the United States the most dangerous place in the developed world to give birth. According to the CDC, nearly 700 mothers die each year during or after pregnancy, and another 50,000 are severely injured. Simone is just lucky to be alive.
So Simone's experience is not one that is unique to Simone. There are many women who face the same challenges as Simone, many black women every day.
Frankie Robertson is the Regional Director of Advocacy and Government Affairs with the March of Dimes, and she brings up race because it is a major factor when it comes to mothers dying.
For white women, the maternal mortality rate is almost 12 deaths per 100,000 live births annually. For black women, it's a little over 40 per 100,000 births. So you can see that there's a huge disparity.
When we look at the national numbers, black women are 3.5 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related issues than white women. The reason why black mothers are more likely to die is complex, but it boils down to race.
We're talking about systemic racism. That looks like access being denied to basic resources that are not afforded to you because of your skin color.
Robertson points out that our society is not doing a good job of providing equal access to resources for all races. So black mothers generally do have less access to health care, proper nutrition, housing, and transportation.
And all of those issues can have a negative impact on the overall health of women, and as a result can have an overall negative impact on a woman's ability to have a healthy pregnancy.
But the lack of access to resources still does not completely explain why black mothers are more likely to die.
As a white woman, socioeconomic status has a tendency to create better birth outcomes.
But studies show that more education or a higher income doesn't lead to better birth outcomes for black women. Black women who have higher income levels, advanced degrees, and therefore are more likely to have access to better resources still have poorer birth outcomes than white women who have less money and less education. Robertson says the explanation still has to do with race. Studies show that medical providers can have racial bias towards patients, and one senator is already working to address this issue.
March of Dimes is in support of Senator Kamala Harris's legislation. In her legislation, one of the 2 objectives was to provide training to obstetrics providers to avoid making race-based decisions in delivering their care.
When medical providers have bias, they may not take a certain patient's complaint seriously, and as a result, not give them proper treatment for their medical issues like hypertension, which Simone was suffering with. Simone is trying to move forward from the life-threatening experience. She has since had another baby, a boy named Kingston, but she will never forget what happened to her. She felt judged, ignored, and she felt like the people around her belittled her trauma.
Oh, you can try again, girl. You're young. That's all I heard. No. I was scared to try again. I could have died again. I could have, because I was almost there.
Simone wants to make sure that no other woman goes through what she went through.
I just pray and wish that these doctors really pay attention to women. Not just only to Black women, all women, because we matter and our families matter.
And that was Sheba Turk reporting. Now, the CDC is working with several partner organizations to find solutions to this maternal mortality crisis. The suggested solutions range from better policies and procedures to better communication between patients and providers. Next week, Sheba sits down with State Health Secretary Dr. Rebecca G. to discuss the issue of maternal mortality here in Louisiana. And Louisiana trends lower than the national average when it comes to maternal deaths.